Hey, what's up,
Hey.
everyone? Good day, good afternoon. Matt and Dan are coming at you with the broadcasting blueprints. Today, we are talking about how to up your House of Worship live streams. April is a really busy month for, well, a lot of religions: Easter, Ramadan, we have
Yep.
Passover, and we want to make sure we give you some really good tips to get ready for your live streams. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about this. We it kind of like just came up on us. I remember you slacking me about this, and be like, "Hey, do we want to do a live stream about another worship one?" And we're like, "Yeah, it is a busy season right now for a whole bunch of people." So,
This year
um,
is going so fast already.
I
I just
agree.
cannot believe it's March already. Oh man, it's going to be like end of summer before we know it. So
Hmm.
this one definitely kind of snuck up, and I was like, we should probably do something.
Yeah. So again, this one I'm looking for a lower third. I thought I created, but apparently I didn't. Talking about this, but
You just type whenever you're ready.
I'll put up our here's kind of the things we're going to talk about on it. That has House of Worship up there in the corner, so
Mhm, mhm.
kind of works
Yeah.
too.
If you're watching us on YouTube, hello. This is our second time for us personally using the multi-streaming. Facebook, hello. Hope you're all having a wonderful day.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
Dan. Good
we're
afternoon. Good
again we are
afternoon.
live streaming on both on the Switcher Studio Enthusiast group is where we are. If you're
Mhm.
watching on YouTube, you can check us out here if you want to join some conversations there, or whatnot. But yeah, I'd say we can stall a little bit to get people in here, but yeah. If you guys have questions about the stuff too, ask them in the comments because I know we have a
Mhm.
lot of newer people who are new to this stuff who might be just starting out on live streaming, maybe some house of worship type things or other things. So ask your questions in the comments, and we'll try to answer them as we go along, as well as give you the tips we talked about. But I also want to put this up here and say, what tips do you have? So if you're out there and you're doing this already, and you think you're doing something great, let us know about that as well.
And then back in December, Dan and I did another live stream, sort of similar to this, but we were talking about last minute tips. So if you want to go watch that, you can find it in the Switcher Studio
Hmm.
101 group on
Yep.
Facebook. We were
It
live
might have
there.
been uploaded to YouTube too.
It may also be on YouTube. There you are. But we also have a blog post from our website that you can read through, just 5 last minute tips. So we may mention a few of these today as well. I
Hmm.
know that they kind of overlap. Yeah. Oh, hey, Will, how you doing? Will, if you ever need a good example of House of Worship stuff, I cannot get my words out today. Talk to Will there. He's got some great videos.
Yeah,
Uh,
Will's done some great stuff all around. I think we did a Made with Switcher with him a while back, so yeah, I could do another one of those here soon with
Right.
him and
And
everyone.
for those of you who haven't heard, we're kind of bringing that back in some regard, the Made with Switcher. It's going to be a little bit different. Dan and I will be doing some interviews with some of you all. You can show off your setup, any tips and tricks you want to talk about, like really just kind of spotlighting you as live streamers. So there is a form to fill out in the enthusiast group. And if you're on our Discord, it's also there. I will drop the link here in the chats soon. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to try to do them bi-weekly ish, but we want to make sure we get enough responses. So
Yeah, I'm keep talking while I create this House of Worship tips and tricks. We're doing it live, folks.
we're doing it live. Yeah, Dan and
All
I
right,
are
it's done.
used to doing morning streams. I feel like this afternoon one's like throwing us off a little bit. At least it is me.
We're here. We're ready to go.
Oh man.
Okay,
Uh,
here's like I love like so we're getting some good questions coming through or good tips too. Like plan and prepare with best practices. Yeah, very important. As you can
mhm.
see, we do have some planning here. Might have just missed that one extra lower third, but there's another question here, which is something we're absolutely going to get to. How can I put a Bible's verse on lower third
Oh
without
yeah, that's a
using
really
other
good question.
software?
Very good
So
question.
yeah, we'll definitely get to that and much more. But again, check out that blog post if you want to see what we talked about. That's kind of like last minute tips and tricks. One of the big things I know Matt and I talk about is don't be afraid to just record if you're not comfortable streaming. This one we're gonna kind of assume that you're a little more comfortable. You've gotten a few under your belt. And you're ready to really start streaming. So yeah, let's go ahead and I'm going to bring this up over here. These are kind of the main talking points we had come up with. And that's first talking about your camera placement and lighting.
Mhm.
Getting creative with multi-views, that's where the lyrics come in, especially. And then talk about some supporting social posts that you could possibly bring out
Yeah.
and do some things with.
No, these are none of these I would say are like brain surgery, rocket science. Like they're
Yes.
nothing crazy, but these are things that you might not think about. Like even yesterday, Dan and I were talking about this, and they were just things we each of us would say, like, "Oh, yeah, like that's such an obvious one that like we didn't even think about mentioning." So we're hoping that you all can find some great information from this live stream. And please let us know what you're doing if you think you're doing something great in the chat.
Mm-hmm. So let's hop into this first one here, and we'll go to camera placement and lighting.
Yep.
These are 4 points I put in here, or we put in here, and to talk about. And that first one is avoiding distractions. So let's just say a lot of churches sometimes or places of worship might not have the best lighting in them.
Mhm.
So you kind of have to get creative. So I this first one is avoiding distractions and where you're placing your cameras and where you're putting lightings. Remember, like the most important thing is making sure what's the word I'm looking for here, Matt? Like people like you don't want a whole bunch of lights in the middle of
Right.
your church,
Right.
but
You don't want your cameras in a spot where it's going to obstruct the view of the people in your congregation.
right.
What you'll see in a lot of now, what you see in some churches is they're in like maybe an old school or a gym or you name
Mm-hmm.
it. Like churches are buying up properties and converting them into churches, which is awesome. But they typically don't come with a lot of great lighting or a lot of great spots to put cameras. So you'll see them have lights kind of all over the pastor or whoever's speaking, and they're just totally lit up, and they almost look like a ghost. So making sure like you don't need to get too crazy, but you don't want to use none, because those overhead fluorescent lights will put a lot of weird shadows on people speaking. So just being thoughtful. Dan and I were talking about this. Like you don't need too many lights. You just
Mm-hmm.
need the right light in the right location.
Or talk with the leaders in your place of worship and find out what you're allowed to do, what they would be comfortable with you doing, and finding that happy medium between all that stuff. Some other ways you can kind of make your footprint smaller is using iPhones.
Mhm.
And using the smaller versions of those, maybe instead of having a full tripod in there, you can use a monopod with some of the tripod legs, or you could do like a table tripod, or even a light stand can be a smaller footprint than a big tripod, and could be a way to have a camera be close, and but not take up too much room.
Yep. And those monopods are great. We actually
Mm-hmm.
just picked them up for live streams we're going to be doing in the future. And I've never really messed with one. Like, honestly, you talked about monopod, Dan, and I thought selfie stick. And I was like,
Oh
is that the
no.
same thing? But they're like just so sleek. And I'm using like tripods over here. And it's just like, well, watch out for the legs. The legs are going to go in everywhere. So being able to have those like really sleek monopods, or like Dan said, something that clips to somewhere nearby you, maybe it's the podium, even like if it's not going to be too much in the way,
Mm-hmm.
just being thoughtful about that, trying to reduce your footprint, and
Yep.
not distracting, because we know a lot of people are going back into the services, but there still are people who are going to be watching at home. Like I think that's just a
I
fact
think
that we're going to see.
And I think that kind of is a great segue to that last point in down there, set up new creative shots. I feel like a lot of people, when they're starting out with these worship live streams, they were doing it as a necessity out of COVID. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people have seen like the value in having these live streams live on Facebook or YouTube or other places. And now that you're having people back in the churches with you, you can consider placing a camera facing them, show the congregation and the people they're praying with everyone at home. And I think that's just a different shot you can switch to that can be really exciting and nice.
Mhm. I agree. All right. Well, hey, let's move on to shot composure, because this is something that I watch a lot of your worship videos you post in the groups and
Mm-hmm.
wherever you post them. Like, I watch a good bit of them, and a common issue, I'll say, or a common easy fix, is just your shot composure. You'll have the pastor, the priest, whomever, at the bottom of the shot with just a ton of headroom above them, where nothing, like nothing's there. Nothing ever is like really happening there. It's possible some of you put your worship lyrics there, and we kind of talk about that a little bit more later, but it's just such an easy fix to bring the camera in, zoom in if you need to, reduce the noise, like the empty space on the left and the right and the top and the bottom, and really try to keep, like, imagine your camera set up in like kind of thirds and trying to keep the subject in those middle areas there, not in the bottom, and just like leaving all that wide open space up there. Pretty dang easy fix. What else do you think, Dan?
Yeah, just be mindful of how you're putting your cameras up. Make sure, like, when you're looking at it, that it makes sense with the other shots you have, and that, you know, as Matt was saying, that you don't have just like a whole bunch of the ceiling and you can't see the action, or the action's not being presented in the middle or as like the focus of that shot.
Yeah, it's distracting, honestly. At least it is for me, just because like you're kind of thinking something's going to happen in that space, and then nothing ever does. Just kind of like making sure you're in on the subject, whoever it is, you know, speaking, singing, whatever, and just not leaving that open space.
Let's talk about this other one here, talking about avoid camera vibrations, because this is something that's really interesting, and this has been brought up a few times in the group, and both the group, the 101 group on Facebook, and this group, the Switcher Studio Enthusiast. For those of you on YouTube, on YouTube who are watching there instead of in the group, is when you have like a really big bass, or maybe a camera close to some speakers, when the bass hits, that camera starts shaking a little bit.
When the bass hits, that's right.
When the bass hits. But anyways, there are some keys to fix that, and it's simply the first and biggest thing is weighing down those tripods or those cameras. We've seen people use sandbags on top of their tripod legs. I've seen, if you look at your tripod, underneath, like in the middle, there might be a hook, and that's actually made to do exactly this. I a lot of times will hang my camera bag off of that hook on my tripod, or, you know, you can actually just hang weights.
I'm currently using a sandbag full of rocks from Lake Michigan, so you really can use whatever's heavy. Because that's going to reduce that vibration. If you don't have a sandbag, or if you feel like it's not going to work for you, or, you know, maybe it's too big and it's going to be distracting, and you want to kind of help with that vibration, you can use common, ordinary kitchen sponges and put it under the legs of your tripod. That will help with the vibration a little bit. Now, I think sandbags will be a little bit more helpful, but if you're kind of in a pinch, or you're, you know, short on cash or time, like, just cut up those and put them under the legs. Honestly, when I first heard that, I thought it was crazy until I did it. I know that Asia in the chat here, she was using sponges under her legs of her tripod until she actually needed to use a sponge to clean stuff. So then she took them.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. Yeah.
So, like, super easy, like, just help with the vibration. I know a lot of you have been asking in the group. And the iPhone has some vibration, like, you know, you don't think it's going to happen until that bass hits, and then your whole camera and rig is shaking. So definitely sandbags, Lake Michigan rocks, or sponges under the legs.
Yeah. That's the big stuff I would say with camera. So I let me put that back up. I know I just got rid of it, but you know, avoid distractions. Make sure your cameras are kind of out of the way. Be mindful of your shot composure and how you're setting up those shots to make sure they're coherent with each other. Try to minimize the camera vibrations in those ways we just talked about, and don't be afraid to try new shots. Before we get on to this next one, which again is going to be talking about the multi-views and text graphics, things like that. I see in the comments, I think it's Will, who of course has absolutely mountains of experience here, is talking about networking being super important, as well as audio. And yes, those are 100% super important. And for that, I would check out our last live stream, because we cover both those in a lot more detail there on how to best resolve those issues. And that's something we could do another live stream on in the future as well.
Yeah. And I think I'll mention before we move on here, Dan, like, we've talked about this in the past. I think we've probably said it 1,000 times, that your audio is super important. People will watch if the audio is good. people will not watch if your audio is bad. So just be very mindful of that. You want to be able to hear it. So, yeah. All right, Dan,
All
what do
right,
we got
so
next
this next one here is talking about multi-views and text graphics. So this is another way that you can get creative other than, you know, of course, switching up the angles is another way you can show cool things on screen. Here's what we have here. So why use them? They can help keep the audience engaged. Lyrics on screen is a huge thing. And some people I don't think realize, but there's a donation overlays inside of Switcher or ways that you can create those. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things here with keeping the audience engaged, I was talking when Matt and I were planning this, one of the things I said that after having some editing and video classes in college, one teacher told me to go watch the news or really any program, and every single little time they make a cut, switch angles, count how long they're on that shot before they switch it again. And most of the time it's like 5 seconds or under, because
which is wild. That's wild.
Yeah, they're trying to keep you entertained. And if it's longer than that, they're probably doing like a slow pan out or a pan in or something to emphasize a point. So if you don't have all the camera angles, of course, the next best thing I would do is add graphics. And that's stuff you can do inside a switcher. So I can show you. Let's talk about the lyrics on screen, because I think that's a really important one. I know we had that question here. So let me show you. I've set this up. Do I have it actually set up here? Yes, I do.
I hope so. See, these afternoon streams for us, I'm telling you.
So let me show you. Like, this again is just using Switcher Studio software, but and I just created some PowerPoint slides, but not PowerPoint. It was Google Docs, and Google Slides is what I ended up using for it. So yeah, if I just hit spacebar on my keyboard over here, we should be. I think I'm.
These are test lyrics.
Here they go. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
You know, the typical default text that you get when you just search default text or random text.
Those aren't real words, probably.
But yeah, I'm able to scroll through these, and this is just on a laptop, on my laptop that I have going here. So if you have a lyrics on screen at your church already, you can download Switchercast. Maybe Asia, if you could find the Switchercast article and post that either maybe in the YouTube, and Matt, if you want to do it on Facebook, that could be helpful. But yeah, what I've done is I've just created the white text on a black background, and I'll remove that there, and I'll show you how I'm doing that, because I have here there we go. Nope, that's not the right thing. Really is, guys, this last thing here, right? Yeah, here. Let me fix this really quick. We're
doing really well, Dan. I feel great.
Well, you know, I'm getting silly over here. Okay, here we go. Got it here. So that's my secondary iPad running Switcher, ready to go. Let me put that up back down there. So over here, again, I have Switchercast running on my Mac over here, so I can connect that display. Again, we have an article on this. If I have it on my thing, I can
just
put it in too.
I believe. I hope that's the right one. Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay. I see what I've done. So remember when I was having issues there for a second? It's because I got rid of I dropped the wrong camera on my main iPad here. I dropped my secondary iPad when I should have dropped the computer screen so it could.
Dan has just a lot of stuff in front of him here. You can't see it, but he's doing a lot of stuff, and I just sit here and talk.
I've got 6 devices in front of me going.
You can't keep track what's going on.
I'll take a picture and share it in the group afterwards so you can see. It's a little bit much, but cool. Well, that's here now. Obviously, it has the black background, but that's obviously not going to work for what we need. So I'm going to do a long hold on it, edit, and I'm going to come over here and choose it as an overlay. And we can go full screen, make sure it's an overlay. And if you scroll down here, you say fade black to transparent. If I bring this all the way up, that gets rid of the black background on these, and I can tap done. And just like that, now if I have this here, I can come in with my lyrics on screen.
And you can sing.
These are
These are
test
test
lyrics.
lyrics. No,
Go ahead,
maybe you don't
Matt.
sing
Take it
that.
away.
It's too late. I don't know this song. That was
So,
so easy. Like that was just like, honestly, when I think about like removing black background, like I'm thinking of bringing in other programs and making it way more difficult than it needs to be. And that was just, I mean, you did that in 10 seconds there. That was super easy. That was awesome. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like magic.
The yeah, like of course there's other ways you can do it too. You can just create a bunch of full screen graphics inside a switcher. You can go like if we come into the titles and graphics, you can make a whole bunch of lower thirds or titles that have all that information on them, and you just have to click through them as you're going and remove them when you're done with them. This is a way that I would say you could do it automatically without like if you already have a computer running to a projector or something, just download and install SwitcherCast, and every time they switch along, you're going to get those same switches here in Switcher.
Yep. I'm going to go back to, I mean, this is super helpful, but I just want to mention you were talking about switching camera angles. Don't want to like go any further without mentioning the auto switching for your cameras. So if you don't want to worry about that, you can set up auto switching between your cameras, and you can set that up with a different time interval. So it doesn't need to be 5 seconds. 5 might be a little quick depending like how many cameras you actually have, but you can kind of play around with what works best for your services. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Dan.
There it is.
Appreciate that. Cool. All right, what's next?
What if you use Pro Presenter? I see someone talking about that. Any suggestions? I would do it the same way, if possible. There's also a way you can do it with like multi-views. I'll make a video on that. It's a little bit more involved than what we have here, but we've seen where you can. Should we do it? Should I show them?
Yeah, go ahead. Where are you going today? I mean, you got time, right?
Yeah, right. We got time to do this. I'll show you what we've seen people do to get really creative with it. So have Pro Presenter running on that computer screen. Maybe again, I would try and have those lyrics be towards the bottom. Do a 2-up multi-view. And I believe it's this one we're looking for. Yep. And then separator director, turn it sideways. Move this all the way to the bottom. Like so. Just like that. Center it or not is the next thing you'd want to look at. You'd want to decide, like look at, try it with both and figure out which one is set up with how you have it saved. It's probably going to be uncentered, so it just takes the bottom of the screen if you have them down there to begin with. The separator thickness you can bring this down too. But what this would do then is, I can come in and I'll select me. Let's pretend that's the main one. And I'll come back here and edit this so it's actually full screen so we get an idea. And you see it's not perfect because it's not showing them completely, but I can come in here and edit this and adjust the position.
Bring your lineup
a little
bit
more.
Here.
Again, you can play around with this to make sure it's exactly how you need it. But this is how I do it with Pro Presenter, where you can have like the glowing backgrounds and like the video effects with it. Great question. And it is, I guess it's not that involved either. It just creates
that was like 2 extra steps maybe. That's great. Honestly, like that's one of those things I had not messed around with very much, but just seeing you do it, like it wasn't that hard. So that's great. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. So that's, we'll work with really any of them. I just showed you Google PowerPoint or however it's called.
I'll allow it.
Google
PowerPoint.
Google
Google
Slides. It's Google Slides. That's what it's actually called.
Google overhead slide projector.
Perfect. Nailed it. All right, what else we got here? Let's come back in here and bring back up the other stuff for multi-views. Donations. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Donations. Another just easy, like it's built in.
Again, we added this recently. This is another one. Just want to make sure you guys know it's there. Again, the plus icon at the bottom, text and graphics, and then there's the donation overlays. So if you use one of these for your church, you can put that in. If that wasn't the case, what I would probably do is just come into lower thirds and pick one. I think this one looks pretty sharp for that sort of live stream. Change the colors to adjust it, and just give like the information on where to donate or information on the church
Yeah.
or place of worship right in there.
Yeah, I know that COVID kind of it didn't help church giving. So being able to offer a place where your viewers, your congregation can donate is probably going to be pretty dang huge for you all.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, and that's again just pretty dang easy because it's just there in the Switcher app.
Yep.
Okay,
So I'm just kind of going
what do we
through,
got?
seeing some other comments. I see Chris in here. Sup, fellas? Sup,
What's
Chris?
up?
We're talking House of Worship, giving some tips. If you guys have any tips, let us know. What tips do you have?
I feel like you all are just real funny in the chat. Every time we go live, it's good.
Yeah, I'll kind of scroll through here at the end to see if I missed any, if we missed any other questions. We can do that, but let's go into our last one, and this is one that I think is really interesting, and it's something small you can do throughout the weeks leading up, or just like make it be a part of your routine, and that's taking advantage of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. If people don't know when you're going to go live or where to watch you, they're not going to. Like, that sounds pretty easy, but you have to make it known when and where you're going to be live. Now, if that's scheduling a video, like being able to schedule ahead on Facebook or YouTube, allowing them to be interested in the event and getting the reminder when you actually go live, and they just need to click and go. That's easy. Make it easy for your viewers, your congregation.
Yeah, the big thing I think about scheduling too is you get that link, so you can post that link on maybe on your website. You can post to all the other social channels. You can people can share that out. There's also like get the notifications, so when you go live, they'll get a notification on, say, Facebook or YouTube, and we'll know exactly where to see that video. And I think scheduling the video can work both for live and pre-recorded. If you're just recording and want to put it up live afterwards, I think that it works really well for that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, but just making sure people know where to find you, how to find you. And it's just like, I know that it's just kind of one more thing you need to think about, but all in all, like it's worth doing.
Yeah.
If you want to increase your viewers, or if you want to make sure people actually watch, like just do it. Make a plan, schedule it, and make it happen. Another thing, Dan, we're kind of talking about is making
this is all your idea, and I'm going to let you. I think this is genius. So
one thing I thought about when I told Dan we should talk about is creating a tutorial. We all have those. They're not technologically inclined.
Technology impaired.
Yeah, they're technology.
My grandma.
Impaired.
We all have. Yeah. My grandma is in everyone's life at some point.
My grandma, she's on Facebook and she can send me a sticker. Hey, grandma, I hope you're doing well. But like being able to make a quick 30-second tutorial of how to watch you, what to press, where to go, and make it just super easy, because I know that even in our groups, we have people asking for specific tutorials. So if you can imagine, there was a point in time where you didn't know how to watch a live video on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever. So being able to go in and just creating a real quick tutorial, like click here, make sure you're logged in, etc. Whatever works best for your congregation, just make it easier to watch you.
Yep.
And that's what Dan does. Like, he's making tutorials for you all. So be kind to your people. Be kind to my grandma, okay?
Comments. This is another one within Switcher. If you're live, you can add the comments that come through on Facebook, and that just increases the engagement. Like I always say, like when you're going live, if someone sees like a comment pop up, they're gonna want to comment, and they want to continue that conversation and keep those that chat going. So I think that's important. I'm pretty sure that the more comments and interaction you're getting on your videos, the better it's going to perform on Facebook and YouTube.
Agreed.
And these other places.
The more chances it'll be seen, especially by people you want to see it. That you want to have watch it. So yeah, absolutely. And it might be easier if you do a premiere and then you go back and use the comments to boost engagement. I don't honestly. My church on their live stream, they don't post a lot of the comments on the screen, and I don't know if anyone even comments. But if you want that, maybe you dedicate someone to start commenting in the chat, asking questions, to kind of boost that engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And then the last thing we have here,
yeah.
the last one. Sorry, did you have more to talk about there, Matt?
No,
I feel like I just cut you off.
I was also going to say the last one. So in the last one, Dan, take it away.
When we last did the a worship live stream or talking about tips and tricks for it, this wasn't available through us, and we were telling you find out where your audience is, and I still think that's important. If they're on Facebook, stream to Facebook. If they're on YouTube, stream to YouTube. One of the biggest tips I give for everyone going live is when you go live, make sure there's a point to it. Like, what are you trying to do? And one of those answers might be get as many views as possible on the video. And if that's your goal, then try multi-streaming. Stream it to Facebook and in your YouTube channel at the same time. I always find it interesting. We're here and I see a whole bunch of YouTube comments come through, and the first time we multi-stream, we had more people watching on YouTube than we did Facebook, and I never would have thought that would have been the case. So definitely something to consider here.
Yeah, and right now, even for us, like we're about even. It's about even in both places, and we had only been streaming just on Facebook for months now. So being able to reach more people who maybe they get those notifications there on YouTube and not on Facebook, or vice versa. But it's just being thoughtful about where your audience is going to watch the most, and perhaps it is multi-streaming. So
so those are, again, just to kind of recap here, the points we hit here. I see first I'll mention Jared from the teams in here saying, have you guys mentioned it's important to do lots of testing? Yes, test is always important. Jared, I think you might have just joined us. One of the things we mentioned is to go back and watch our last live stream that we did on worship if people want to see, and we also have that blog, and that's kind of the main point of that last one is testing and making sure your audio is really good. So yes, of course, always important to test, and just to give you a quick overview of that is try and test in the most real world example that you have. So like don't expect to go in Tuesday afternoon and do a live stream and be like, okay, everything's great when no one's
getting great numbers.
No one's in the church. Great. Everything's working well. And then Sunday, when you have a whole bunch of churches trying to stream and there's a whole bunch of people in the place, it can get a little more
bogged down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So very important. Yes. Testing is very, 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 very important.
And a quick aside to that is maybe don't share your network with everyone in your congregation on Sundays, because they're going to tank it. So just be thoughtful of that as well. Yeah.
Cool. So again, let's recap here. I keep putting up our logo and then having to take it down.
Hey, that's okay.
I should put it. I'm going to put it on the other side next time when we do these.
I'll remind you. Going just kind of through a quick recap of what we talked about today. Camera placement and lighting, don't be distracting. Be thoughtful about where and how many of each you are putting in your congregation during your service. Don't take away from the people who are there, and don't light yourself up like a ghost. So be thoughtful of that. And getting creative with multi-views. Put one in the back of the congregation. Being thoughtful. Use the auto switching. The being able to get rid of the dark background and bring up the worship lyrics, like just really trying to make it more engaging for your viewers and your congregation. And then finally, create great social posts, like just being thoughtful about making sure people are aware of when you're live streaming, where you're live streaming, and how they can watch. Make it easy for them. What did I miss, Dan? Anything?
No, those are the big points. Like that's it. Again, don't be afraid to get out there and do it. I think everyone out there can live stream. You just need to get going with it.
You just need to do it. Just to be honest, some easy tips, tricks, thoughts. If you haven't live streamed or haven't live streamed very much, just start doing it. Dan and I have been live streaming for a good long time. A lot of people in the chat have been live streaming for a good time. Like, you go back and watch our first live streams, they were probably kind of garbage, but that's okay, because we had to learn what not to do in order to do it, in order to get better. Like, you learn those tips and tricks, and that's why Dan and I do this for you all. We want to bring to your mind some easy, quick, hopefully like tips that will make your live stream from 5 to 100. So
Yeah, everyone gets those Facebook notifications of, of your memories. I'm getting like the Facebook memories of the live streams I did with Angela on our team. She's still here. Don't worry. For those of
Angela.
you, if you write in, you're still talking to her all the time. But I just like go back and watch them. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, mega cringe. Absolutely. I come through those two. I'm like, oh, what was I doing? This sounds and looks awful. So
Yeah.
Don't be afraid just to go live, because you're not going to get good. You're not going to get better until you actually just do it. So cool. Hey, Dan, thank you so much for your knowledge. Everyone, thank you for your questions and your comments. I hope your House of Worship streams coming up go off without a hitch.
Yeah, I'm just going through seeing if there's any other super important questions here that we can do. Like Jared saying, preach public Wi-Fi is the church stream killer. There were a couple things I did want to put up here really quick before we left, and that's people had some great advice. Like someone was talking about doing a QR code for donations. I thought that was a really neat idea.
That's a very good idea. Very good idea.
And there was another one that I liked, but I can't find it right now. I say this, multi-streaming does allow you to stream in 1080p. That's what we're doing right now, actually. 1080p multi-streaming.
Hello from 1080p. There you go. So thank you all for your comments and your tips and your questions. Dan and I will be back, Monday, right, Dan?
Yep, we'll be back Monday in the Switcher Studio Enthusiast group. You know what? Should we do this one to YouTube?
We'll also be live on YouTube. We'll always be on YouTube. Yep. So you can watch us either in that group or on YouTube on Monday. We go live every Monday morning. It's morning for us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time with coffee and questions, where you can bring your questions, and Dan and I will hopefully have an answer for you. We just want to help you create better live streams. If you haven't joined our Discord, you should absolutely do so. We are just really building a community there as well, sharpening each other, growing, just again trying to make better live streams together. So,
okay, Billy, what is your question here? You're using, I think you're using Rode Wireless mics. Your guest can't hear you. Oh boy. Okay, that could be a couple different things. And instead of troubleshooting here, write us in to support at switcherstudio.com. Again, for anyone out there who, if you're watching this, like our main goal of this live stream wasn't to troubleshoot everything, but we're happy to answer questions, of course, but more focus on
could be a few
worship.
different things. So,
but this one, email support at switcherstudio.com. Tell them what's going on. I think Jared's in the comments. He might be able to help out as well. But it could be the way you have things connected. You might need to mute or unmute something. So, it might take a little bit, or I don't think it'll take long to get the answer. But to best help you, go ahead and write into support at switcherstudio.com.
And just before we go here, I'm going to drop the link to the Discord in both the chats here. And I hope to see you all there, and I hope to see you all on Monday. And if we don't talk to you, have a great rest of the week and great weekend. And thank you all so much.
Thank you guys as well. I'm looking for my my audio to close it out. There it is.
Too many screens in front of you, Dan.
Too many screens. Thanks to Asia for getting me this music so we can use it. Thanks for being in the comments there, Asia. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Again, if we didn't get to your question, join us on another live stream. Those are typically Monday at 9:30 Eastern in the all over YouTube, enthusiast group, main Facebook page. But hang out with us, write into support if you have questions, and keep the conversations going.
Yep. We'll see you later. Peace.